Good, I'm good.
Perfect. Nice. I would like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to you for honoring our invitation. You are such a busy man. The team spoke to me a while ago that we wanted you to come through, and you honored our invitation. We were actually supposed to have you come in last week, but because of the International World Women's activities we had on here, we had to just shift it to this week. So we're very happy to have you here, and I hope and pray the story inspires all the people that are locked into the show and more today. I pray that beyond the 1 hour or so we're going to spend on here, people propagate the message. Some of us have had the opportunity of linking with you. I know a huge number of my followers and listeners on here know who you are from afar, but today they get to know the real you. I want us to start off by talking about your upbringing, your early days alive. I mean, if we were to write a story about Mr. Senyo Hosi, a book, if we started the first page on his upbringing, his childhood, what are the most significant things we talk about? What are some of the influences? Where did he grow up? All that we want to know.
Well, asking thanks. I was born in Nigeria.
Nice.
So somewhat Nigerian by birth.
This is new to me.
I come from a family of 10, in which I'm the only Ghanaian. I grew up when we moved back into Ghana. Largely grew up in the Adenta area.
Okay.
Back in the days, Adenta was a very interesting place. I don't think we had trotros going past then how do we call that place? Taxi rank in Medina.
Yeah.
Then later,
is it the one at the Rich Junction area?
No. Nah. And so you actually then have to walk.
To Adenta?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Or you take a taxi, a loading taxi.
Which will cost an arm and a leg.
Because we largely would walk. And then where we lived, it was quite interesting. You could just wake up one morning and a monkey is in your house. They just pop in and out. It's amazing how the area has transformed.
It's really developed a lot of
This is way back in the early 80s when we moved back to Ghana. I schooled in Medina and then later in Pantan Hospital, GSS. We were a bit in the bridge of the old system.
Sorry.
And then the new system, the GSS system that had been introduced. We were plunged into it. So I went to school in Pantan. I went to a typical Saito school. Like I said, in a big family that had a lot of warmth and too many people, a lot of cousins and people who were not even related lived with us. My house was always quite an interesting place. You know where you wake up, you don't know where you are sleeping because you don't know who's just visiting and coming in. Kids come and play in our house, and when my mom can't figure out where they have to go, she'll just keep them. So it was a place where there was a lot of love, but a lot of discipline, a lot of order. We don't take prisoners. My mom won't take prisoners. My dad was a tough guy. So, and I had very brilliant sisters. Very, very brilliant sisters. I think maybe amongst the whole, I think of the whole crew, probably I'm the least on the IQ level. Easily the least, on the IQ.
Then I can only imagine the ones on the higher side.
Hey, the first one is, she's a pathologist at Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. She really made Ibri Girls popular during the Brilliant Science and Maths quiz. A lot of people were taking their children to Ibri Girls because of Senyo Hosi at the time. She was exceptional. Then we had Kafui. She's a psychologist in Ottawa and at the frontier of black psychology. Pretty well celebrated in the city. I'm the third. I have a crazy backbone, a very brilliant lady, Mrs. Jifa Hosi Montana. I think she works with the Kinoff guys in Chicago, and she's one of their lead designers. Just chucking awards left, right, center. And that one works with global payments. Very creative person in Atlanta, Yawa. Then I have my first brother. He's a realtor and making the millions.
It's a good industry now.
Oh yeah. He's a realtor in the U.S. If you're not dealing anything above $1 million, don't give him a call. It's a hot shot realtor.
Wow.
Then there's another then my father has a pension kid. My last brother, our last born, and he's also in Kentucky. And I'm the only one surely here. I happen to
The
be
only
the
Ghanaian.
lot.
I think now the story has switched. The only Ghanaian by location. You know,
not, and I think nationality too. So I think I guess I'm the only one by nationality too right now. So I'm the only Ghanaian in the family. My parents are naturalized. I am Americans. But myself, my wife, my children are purely Ghanaians.
Perfect.
Purely Ghanaians. I didn't really believe in that. I believe, and I tell them every time, you could speak like them, look like them, school with them, but you are never them.
Yeah.
You're never them. You are you. You are Ghanaian, and we all owe it to our country to trigger the change we want to see, be the change we want to have. But we have to contribute to making this place work. When COVID struck and borders were shut, we couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
When there are crises somewhere, people just want to look in and focus on protecting their own people. They'll sack us all from their countries. The only place you have is your country. So we have to make it work. We have to make it work. So I tell my political friends, policymakers, don't get excited the fact that on the back of political patronage, you can actually move your child to school out there. You can buy a home in London, in the US, wherever. Someday is coming and things happen. And the only place you can count on is your home.
Yeah.
So let's fix it. Let's make it work. We can't keep exploiting our system for our own selfish aggrandizement and spend outside of our town. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't have a problem people have investments elsewhere, but Ghana is not a place to come and take money and go use to protect your families outside. We have to make here be the place that people rather want to come and protect their families.
It's a duty for all of us.
Sustain their wealth because we have no other country. The country has to work. And if you look at the youth population in this country right now, you look at the future, sometimes the bleakness we see in the prospects and hope, it leaves very little to be desired. And there's a reason for us to worry. There's a reason for us to wake up and turn things around, because we can't fail the youth of this country. It's not a crime to be a Ghanaian. It's not a crime for the youth today to be somewhat subjects in this policy space. It is rather a responsibility on us to create a viable future for them, because we owe this land to them and they owe it also to their children and children's children. So we must be the example of what we want generations after us to be like, to outdo. Fortunately, I feel we are failing. We are failing so badly and recklessly. But change, we will, because we have no option. Ghanaians, when it comes critical, we always find a way. So the way there, at some point, we will find it.
So I'm sure if you're listening now, you're more than convinced about the fact that I said he has fearless nationalism embedded in him. I think it's actually with him. I want to know, okay, I'm curious. This thought you just put out sounds like something that has been with you, something you actually live. Has it been with you since? At what point did you realize, okay, this land is ours? Your siblings all live out. I'm sure you might have had the opportunity to touch other parts of the world. At what point did this sense get to you? At this entire concept of this is ours. It's actually ours, and it's actually the truth. But to have someone preach this very well, knowing that this side know really better, it be there the better day. Must take more than that. At what point did this come to you? Did you have a revelation? Did you experience something? What did you see?
No, it's been with me forever. After school, my family expected me to join them in the U.S. I wasn't interested. My father actually thought that because maybe some girl was confusing me, because of a few orgasms here and there, I was thinking I couldn't run away from this girl, which was not the case. Anyway, my first girlfriend is my wife today.
Wow.
Yeah. I could not come to terms with the fact that I was a graduate and I was going to have to go to the US and do menial jobs. And I asked myself, if I come back next time, how do I explain all the skills I'm supposed to have had? Will it be the skills that working in Walmart, or the skills working at KFC or at Costco? You know, I said, nah, that was not me. I have been invested in by my parents and in the States for a certain level of impact. So I should build my experiences out of my country, because if you are a graduate and you leave your country, and you're practically going to have to work as a high school leaver in another man's country, that should tell you that by default, as the Ghanaians will say it, Ubeminaya, unkao. So why don't actually work at the skills that would make me rather hire high school graduates from the US in my country? That means my country must be of a certain stature. Because we have to make meaning of the skills that we acquire. We are not schooled for checking the box of education. We are schooled for acquiring skills to make a difference and impact in our space, and to drive sustainable livelihoods for ourselves and impact our communities in a sustainable economic manner. So you can't, the moment you just realize that really tells you that for all that you've really sacrificed in your own town, you go out somewhere in another man's town, and all that you have done is totally not recognized. That should tell you have a problem where you belong. You have to fix it. So we have to fix our country.
That means you acknowledge that there are things here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that awareness hit me quite early in life. And I was very committed to it. My early days in school, at work, I told everybody, at our stage as university graduates, you're not entitled to anything. What you have to look at is an opportunity to acquire a real skill, a practical skill.
Yeah.
So, and in this case, you're actually being paid money for acquiring a skill. Because how much skill do you really come into the workspace with as just a graduate? Very little skills. Reading and writing is not a special skill. Make no mistake. Don't fool yourself. That's somebody's first language. So reading and writing English is not a skill that you should just get so freaked out about. No. It's how do you translate that into something of impact within that space. In China, they don't speak English.
Yeah.
So if you speak English, that's not what's really going to transform things. It's just language. So we have to pick skills. And I remember my time as a sales executive. I was working with Parenco. I'll fill the truck with tuna, can tuna, go shop to shop, merchandising, selling. And my colleagues felt that they had to, a graduate, you have to be in an office, white collar.
And I have the rest go to the work.
And I realized that you were a joke. We have a problem with our orientation and education. We have it totally all messed up. That is an inherited orientation. When Ghana was in its early stage and didn't have much civil service skills, industry skills. So almost anybody who could read and write, it was actually the key feature
to get you in.
To get you in. And then when people were graduating at Legon, the companies were all lined up. Because we didn't have many graduates anyway. So these were the people who may be able to have the basic skills to fit into the kinds of jobs and businesses that were there. So everybody felt that you finish, this is what you're entitled to.
That's
no,
true.
the world owes you nothing.
You actually owe the world.
You owe the world something, because you have to leave the world a better place for those after you. But to be fair, everybody else before you has a certain responsibility to create a better ecosystem that you come and meet. But at that stage, you have joined us. So you must be working towards building that wealth that you look out for. So you are not entitled to any job leaving school as a graduate. So get that clear. You are entitled to opportunities to impact. So you have to invest in the skills that help you impact. So today, I'm not looking for your degree as an employer. I'm really looking for the skills you have. So if you've done political science, you've done what, I don't care.
What skills
do you have a certain skill that I need? I need a certain analytical
soft
skill.
skills?
The soft skills. But you see, all those things are built in our education in different ways, but not in very clear.
There are things you have to pick.
Yeah, you have to pick.
Yeah.
We're having the conversation, you have an interview. What you have is an actual skill.
Yes.
You did not really learn that in university or in school or in polytechnic no. But you learn to.
I did economics and political science.
You see? But now, how do you translate that? Now you're on this job. You have to research, because in that process you learned how to research.
Yes.
You need to have the mind to query. So these are the things that you are looking for.
Yeah.
You want to have a certain analytical skills, because you're going to have a conversation with me, and subtly you are actually going to have to be debating with me. I have to make sense to you. So there's a certain skill that you need for this job.
Yes.
And that skill is not in a certificate, it's what you reflect. And truly speaking, it's not everybody who needs to go to that school to have that skill. So when you're educated, it is an indication of skills you may have. But what gives you growth wherever you are is actually the skill you practice, what you deliver. So I tell people, forget about efforts. It is the value you deliver in any economic space that sets you apart.
That's what actually makes you valuable.
That's it. That's it. So look, it doesn't matter whether you went to Yale. It doesn't matter when to Harvard or Stanford. I have seen people go to those big schools and their effective skills and impact extremely low. Their thoroughness not great. And it depends on what you need. And there are some I have seen who have not even had university education, who have exhibited better skills than that.
Yes.
So look, you said, I look at your flyer you sent to me. Somebody had to design it. This can be done by somebody who is not a graduate.
That's true.
It could be done by somebody who never went to do design, it was graphic design in at University of Tech, University of Science and Technology. Yeah, it could be done by anybody. So if you have gone to the school to do it, and you are a customer, you want a product, and you are looking at the product.
Work, exactly.
You're not looking at the qualification of the person who did it.
You want the quality.
It is the work you want, the quality of the work.
Yeah.
So we should focus on building our skills, and sometimes it requires. It's not sometimes. It every time requires a lot more extra work. You have to put in the hours. You have to put in the thinking, and you have to put in the right attitude for it. And that's what really creates a big difference between what we have in Ghana and elsewhere. The level of productivity of people in other countries is way higher than what we see in Ghana. And it's nothing else but the attitude of the people. And those are the things you have to start factoring, taking care of. Our respect for time, deadlines, the hours we need to put in. Too many stories and excuses from the youth who easily feel like they're entitled to everything.
Yeah, I think the entitlement is the biggest thing I would want to claim given opportunity. If I had superpowers, I would want to, because you mentioned something very important. We all go to school, we all graduate. At the moment you are out, people are out there shouting that there are no opportunities for them. What opportunities are you given the system you find yourself in? Okay. What are the things you've recognized, the things you think you can build on? I've met so many people through Leaderboard series, and majority of them will talk about the fact that in finding a solution to that problem you hate so much, you find a living. And then you can apply the skills you have into solving it and also sustain it and give that back to the people and create streams with it.
And the entitlement problem is a difficult problem. You know, it's a difficult problem. To be fair to the youth, they inherited that orientation.
Yes.
And the world today, where everything is almost instant, where you want to send a message, is instant. You know, the youth today are not used to walking from their house to their friend's house only to go and hear he's not there. You know, because everything is instant. You call, are you there? I'm coming. All right, I'm say, yeah. No, look, we came out in a different world, but that instant gratification that the youth seek is explicable. But it doesn't necessarily set them apart for competitiveness. Life is not so instant, and it needs an extra work, because it's instant on WhatsApp because somebody has built WhatsApp for you to have it instant.
Someone has put in work.
Yes, real life, you have to put in that work. You have to WhatsApp your own life, you know, before you can actually get the things you are looking out for. That instantaneous. I don't get my things instant. You know, I don't build my businesses so instant. I don't get my customers so instant. It needs work. It needs a different kind of attitude, and I think that we have it in us to be able to deliver that. Unfortunately, to be fair to the youth today, I don't think they are great examples. But I remember giving this lecture to some students at KNUST, and I was talking about a spy kite. We'll spend another time to discuss the spy kite. But as a part of it, look, the world going forward is taking no prisoners. You can excuse everything, but your excuses will not move you your next step. It's what you do amidst it. If somebody is supposed to have come pick you and the person failed to pick you,
what did you do?
The question is that you still need to get there. So you need to get moving. Standing won't help you. Crying that, yeah, you were supposed to pick me up from the airport, you didn't pick me up at the airport, why did you do? My friend, that's grammar. Where are you going?
Did you get that?
At the end of the day, the guy didn't pick you. Yes, it's not your fault that he didn't pick you, but it will be your fault that you do nothing about it. So we have to seize our own destiny as the youth today and transform our lives, because we don't have any other option. So I call about the new you that is required. Forget about any support you really want to get. You have to fight it out yourself. We owe it to you to have supported you. We have failed you, so that's not in dispute.
So now what do you do?
Right now, what do you do? Do you also want to spend the time nagging and trying to tell your children
fill the generation after you?
The generation before we feel that, so we also carry the failure baton onto you. Please, my dear brother, my dear sister, it ain't going to work.
I love this.
You know, it ain't going to work. You have to seize your time and transform your time. If it means demanding the right answers, demand it. If it keeps moving, move. Standing won't help you. You know, nagging won't help you. So that entitlement theory, please get it out of your brains. It is not moving you to the next step. Your complaints are not moving you anywhere. Understanding your problem is great. But after understanding it, what do you do about it? You know, so the orientation must change. And some of it will mean you being industrious in what you have to do. It needs a transformation in the attitude of the youth today. The competitiveness going into the future is no joke. There'll be very little physical interviews here. I could come to this studio, or the two of us could pretend being in this studio, thanks to augmented reality. All kinds of things
can be done.
And we can be here and you will be seeing some kind of image. Meanwhile, we are sitting in our house. It's the same way that people could be doing the work you are doing in Ghana. While being in America. Today we are sitting here, people are doing work that Ghanaians were doing right from India. Some are doing it right from the US. what it tells you is that the world market has become bigger, but more importantly, the competition has become even more.
And so,
but while people are getting more competitive because there's an ecosystem that makes them thrive better, if you don't have an ecosystem that makes you thrive well, then you have to create that competitiveness yourself.
For yourself.
Because you are going to live in it. I went to Saito, wasn't the best of schools. I went to a very difficult school. I didn't go to Bishop Bowers. I didn't go like my wife did. I didn't go to Christ the King. You know, I went to Damascus. I didn't go to Botwe. I didn't go to Adisco. I went to Legon. I didn't go to Yale.
yeah.
I didn't go to Harvard. I didn't go to Oxford or they say what Oxbridge.
Okay.
But while we are alive, we are draw. Because I got the same legs as you. I got the same eyes
24
as you.
hours, just like you.
I have to put in the hours to make a difference because I know I have to even fight harder because I don't have an ecosystem to make me survive. And for me, I just don't want to survive. I need to thrive. And the youth today need to thrive. And you have it so much in you. You have creativity on your side. You possibly just be lacking attitude, the right attitude for it. But you must invest in it because you can't keep the status quo the same. Let the generations after you write a different story about your time. Let them write a different story about the generations after them. Don't look and be so bogged down by the failings of my time and my father's time, because we have failed you. I have accepted that. But you should turn that story around. My Saito did not stop me from my success. My Damascus did not stop me from my success.
Legon.
My Legon did not stop me from my success. I can hire Harvard graduates today. I hired them to do jobs for me.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter that location. Once you understand your situation, you need to transform it to the desired destination that you seek. So we should aim high, dream big, don't think small, but be willing to really put in the sweat for it, because it doesn't come easy. And it's even more difficult than before. To be fair, it's much, much more difficult than before. So stop sleeping on Instagram. Read more.
Yeah.
You know, analyze a few more things. Think hard about your society. What little solutions you can actually develop to transform the space, and be patient.
And stop giving yourself excuses.
The VAs doesn't come overnight.
Yeah. So I'm sure some of my listeners will attest to this. This leaderboard series is quite special. Especially by the fact that we mostly get into it bit by bit. I mean, we cut the top and go deeper, and then we clear the middle off. This time, it's more than what we expected. You're dropping gems, speaking about things that are deeply rooted with us, things people don't want to touch on, you know. I've had people advise the youth to take up that, but today we go beyond that. This is reality, guys. We all have 24 hours. I'm not here this morning to scare you. I'm just here to tell you the reality, and I'm supported and empowered by someone who knows so much, someone who has tried it. He just mentioned that he's able to hire graduates from Harvard. You know, he went to Legon. Zero excuses. We all have 24 hours. Are you going to put in work, or you're going to sit and complain? If you complain, that means your generation behind you are definitely going to blame you for one or two. Same way we're also trying to blame the people ahead of us. And so the opportunity is ours to make it work and make it count. Senyo, so let's talk about your growing up still. With all the things you've been through, things you know now, did you have any role models, people you picked inspiration from? Would it be your immediate surroundings, or you picked someone from afar? I mean, if you leave me, I'll pick one for you, but let's hear from you.
I may disappoint on that.
You never had any?
I mean, there were people. I mean, in my more adult life, Kwesi Botwe has been one of my biggest idols. But growing up, really, just my parents. I saw their love for humanity. And that really touched me. We didn't have too much, but the little that they had, they were so eager to share an impact. And that shaped my orientation a lot, that we're in a space with a responsibility to impact where and when we can. My father's style had a lot of candor.
Yeah.
And I picked a bit of that from him. And the best way to really sometimes fight your fears is to also confront it. People see me as a speaker today, a public speaker, and they don't have an idea how I struggled and how I still struggle. People don't believe it, you see. Yeah, I will struggle to stand before a small assembly and actually finish my point. But for me to have dealt with those things, I had to rather take on more opportunities to confront my fears and my shortcomings. So I'll be looking for leadership positions because it was a way to fix that. You have to be there. I'll volunteer. I want to ask the question. I was quite curious anyway as a child, but I got that again too from my dad. So by and large, I think my immediate family has been more of a model than those outside. But externally, I've had a lot of love for Professor Kwesi Botwe of blessed memory. He was my friend. He was my friend. He's a man I loved. But my dad and mom have really been more bigger models in my life than I think anyone else ever did.
Nice. So it's good to have role models. You just find who you can pick the best inspiration from. What about Professor Kwesi Botwe of blessed memory inspired you so much to love him? What about him? What specific things about him?
Prof knew how to connect. He was a great listener. And he was a great thinker. And he had class.
We just have to top it up with that.
He had class. He had class. He had class. He had class. He had so much finesse, but he was a man who really had humans at heart. You know, I wrote a poem for him, a poem tribute. Poem tribute when he passed, and a number of very nice memories. As a child, I call that touchstone. I don't know if I'm permitted to go through it.
Yeah, you can.
So this is a poem tribute to Professor Kwesi Botwe. Mental mind, please stand back the hands of time. It is the 80s with me, a little boy, bumping into you. Starstruck and lost on what to do. I just called out to you. You smiled and called me back. Hello, little man. Boy, oh boy, for this little boy, it felt good to be called some kind of man. And that summarizes you, Prof. You knew how to woo. 30 years on, we will connect, open about intent, debate so intense, knowledge so immense, in pursuit of what for Ghana makes sense. At your feet I leant. When I despair, you were hell-bent never to have me relent. You will argue that we never give up on Ghana, no matter how hopeless it seems, for someday we shall overcome. You never hesitated to remind us that sometimes we are the change we seek. Oh, mental mind, please stand back the hands of time. 18 we have seen with you in between. You served the longest, walked through the time's toughest, rose to the calling and passed the test. Even when you took your rest, when called to serve, you said yes. Indisputably, you remain the best. The rest, too far apart to make a contest. Mental mind, please stand back the hands of time. When I walk on the street and something, I still hope to find you within the greens, searching out for a rendezvous, while I enjoy my envious look at your deja vu. You will uncork the finest Japanese, unbox the classiest Cubans, and in perfect harmony we sip and puff. Boy, oh boy, private and humble you may have been, but you sure had great taste and treat in between. Mental mind, please stand back the hands of time. More than ever before, Ghana needs you in this time. You were what now should have been a touchstone. You remain any day. Had to believe your 8-year jam was just like yesterday. But today you are gone away. Touchstone at Ansamfna I wait. Please walk through the gate.
That's a beautiful one. How do you think this would make him feel? What would be his reaction since you knew him so much? If I mean, this was a piece he had heard before he left.
He would definitely unbox a new Cuban for me.
That's a line.
And then get me a whiskey, and give me a big bear hug, and possibly shed a tear.
Wow.
But he was special. Nanama Douna Buchi, wherever you are, my love to Daddy.
I love that. Wow. This is a very special interview, I must say. I'm really enjoying it. I really wish I was just home listening and had someone sit here to, ask the questions. So, you're widely known as a finance and economic policy analyst. You went through school, studied for it, and applied your skills to rise through the ranks for it. Was this by any chance your interests interests leading into the plan you wanted for your career path growing up, or you had a different, plan all along?
Very interesting. Okay, first advice to everybody: if you're confused about what you want to do, don't worry yourself. It's a waste of time because you end up being too many things in life. You have the fundamental skills and a good heart to really want to make an impact, and you can make in different spaces. One, for me, as a kid, I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer. I wanted to be a pilot first.
Okay.
And my dad, I think, didn't want me to go into the army, so he told me I had a flat foot, so I'll be rejected. I was very sad, very, very sad. Then I used to see Vice Marshal Harry Dumashi. Most of you don't know him. He's one of the couples in the military in the 80s and the early 90s. So you watch 6 March. Those days, 6 March was a big thing for us. Yeah. And he would see Harry Dumashi. He looked so beautiful in his uniform. I said I wanted to be like him. And unfortunately, they said I had a flat foot according to my father. Later, as I grew up, I went to check in the military whether my foot was that flat. They said no. I said, this man, God forgive you wherever you are. Then I said I would be a petrochemical engineer.
Okay.
So as a science student, petrochemical engineer, I needed to go to tech. Not admission in tech, but during our time, you take admissions both ways. You apply both ways because you never know.
Yeah, which side, mate?
And our time, we used to have university entrance exam. So you prepare for it, so you apply for both, blah, blah, blah. And what happened? It was Legon I had chosen. I didn't want to do pure sciences in Legon because then the perception of that when you do pure science, you'll be a teacher, and I thought I would be a teacher. Note all these lines.
Yeah.
They'll come back to hunt me. So I chose humanities or something for fun because it was tech I was going. But we had a family circumstance. I couldn't be out of here and had a responsibility to take care of raise my siblings as their parents, or my parents first embarked on their economic relocation to the US. So I had to become a parent overnight, and I couldn't be a parent from Kumasi. So I had to really be here. So I was plunged into that space. So I said then I'll be a lawyer because I love the space of advocacy.
Such a good switch.
Now, Law Tudors then made a postgraduate program. So we couldn't do it first round.
Yeah.
I had the likes of Kizi Ejabin, the OSB. He was my senior then. He's such a brilliant guy. He was a first class student in every shape or form in law, Charlie. So we thought we'd just follow by Uncle Ye. They said we have to finish full first degree before.
And then you can do it as postgraduate.
And then we'll do it, yeah. And that's what happened. I did philosophy and psychology. So I came back to do a master's in business admin because I'd started working in the business space. I had law in mind. I didn't do it. I had petrochemical engineering in mind. I didn't do it. Today what's happening? I was CEO of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, managing the petrochemical engineers and the businessmen in the petrochemical engineer space. As an advisor to the energy over issues of petrochemical engineering, I never entered there. Then law, what is happening today? I'm actually a lecturer right now at the University of Ghana, law faculty, teaching downstream petroleum law, policy and practice for master students. Life is very funny. It has
bringing you back.
I said, I didn't want to teach it.
Yes.
And notes, I said, I don't want to teach. What am I doing? I didn't go to the law school, but I'm teaching the law school. I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer. I didn't go into the but now I understand running the policy space for life evolves in various ways. But as I started to work as a salesperson, I realized my gap was a bit more in the finance space. I was a lover of maths, and I loved analysis. Philosophy for me was the most important course I ever did in my life. It gives you a different orientation to life. So I realized I thought I needed rather finance than to go and do marketing, which I thought came to me a bit more naturally. So I did my MBA in finance. Then getting to the policy space, with my finance, and I wanted economics. So I went back to do a master's in economic policy management. And those maybe practically the 2 times I went to school for the education than just the certificate. I have a first degree, we all just jumping around.
Just in there.
Yes. And all that. So that was it. That's how I really got in there. But because I had an affinity and a love for the issues of policy and economics. And I really had a good time going through or studying all that. And that reflects in my work today on the policy side of things. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. And I didn't do it in Harvard. I did it right here at the University of Ghana. Guys, yesterday is yesterday. The only thing you can change is tomorrow. Put yourself together, gather the tools you have, invest right in yourself, and change tomorrow. Write a different story. And that you can.
Perfect. Now, after, acquiring the skills and, of course, touching base with... No, we're nowhere. I mean... Yeah,
it's an 11.
Because I still have. I mean, you're making this very interesting for us. You're telling your story and advising at every point, in time. I mean, at the smallest opportunity you have, you put in a bit of advice to suit the situation. I want us to talk about your career journey at this point. I mean, go back to it. You just touched on some of the things you're currently involved in, but then what are some of the sacrifices you had to make in the beginning? Studying, you told us at some point you had to be the parent to your younger siblings. It will obviously mean going back and forth between a lot. Having to decide which side you would want to chart, touching something and say, okay, maybe no, I would have to switch to this because of this challenge. When you embarked on your career journey, when you started actually working and earning and applying the skills that you had, what were some of the sacrifices you had to make in order to move maybe from one step to the next, in order to go back? You just mentioned that you had to bring economics in at some point. You had to go back. I'm not sure you just switched one day and then went to school. You obviously had to stop certain things or cut certain things. So what are some of the things you had to go through? Sacrifices in this case. Okay, so FYI, university is the best time in your life. You have less problems. It's simple. Just get to pass your exam. Hopefully you don't have to struggle too much about school fees like I did. But you did?
Oh yes, I had to. I was baking. I was a baker.
But you had siblings outside who could support?
No. When did they go? Back then, no, they were here.
They were here.
Back then, they were here. Just a few had gone. So no. I was the third of no, none. None before me was funding or supporting my education. Neither after, no. I had to bake.
Like real baking?
Real baking. I'm a bread baker. I was a bread baker. And I used to sell it on campus.
So you make the bread on campus?
I make the bread at home because my mom had a bakery before she left.
Okay.
A small bakery.
You saw an opportunity in there and you tapped
I
in
said,
it.
yeah, because I have to feed the children. I have to pay my school fees. So I asked Luca, I said, no, this thing can go. There's an oven. When you see, there was just about 4 lunka. Most people will know what lunka is. So 4 lunka of flour. I could put 1 kg there. Maybe I had some small money. I could buy this. So let me use 2 lunka. Test my recipe. I had a cousin there. We tested the thing, it didn't go well. But as I tasted the thing, I figured out where I got it wrong. Then I made the adjustments required. Bah! It picked. I served it fresh hot because I said, look, I have to be different. I'm new to the market. What differentiation factor will set me apart
Your extra value
for customers to look my way? And I thought that if I really deliver the bread fresh, hot at people's doors, it will really make me different because most people can't. In any case, I didn't have too much. So just a few homes, I should be fine. It worked.
Wow.
So from 4 long, I started doing a full bag, baking a full bag. So I go on a Sunday, go home, knead in the evening. By morning, early morning, 4 a.m., I'm baking. The flavor will be hitting the neighborhood. By 5:15, we are distributing live because people need to eat quickly and go. People are just waiting for me. It was working. It really worked well till we lost our house. So effectively, I lost my factory. My father stood surety for a friend, so I became homeless at that point. And I'm very grateful to my aunties, Mrs. Paulina Kuma, Sun Life, wherever you are. Thank you so much. She took my siblings in, and Mrs. Katarina, Emily, Auntie Emily, and Mr. and Mrs. Katarina. They took me in, but I was staying on campus. So that's where I'd go, and that blessing was there. But I started work as a salesman, and I had options. My orientation was already clear that as a graduate without any special skill.
Yeah.
So going into the corporate world or wherever I find myself working is an opportunity to learn. So it's like an extension of school. But in this case, you are getting something small.
Yes.
So money was not my focus.
Yeah.
All I just needed is something that will make me sustain myself. Space Phone gave me a job offer because I was JCR president and I worked with Space Phone on some projects on campus. And
this is now
really
MTN?
loved now MTN. And they really liked it was a research desk because I actually even wrote my dissertation on them, and they were very excited about it, being offered the job. I saw that and said, this is a big organization. I want to learn the rudiments of business and the dynamics of it. So I rather opted to work with a smaller firm, which was Barry & Co.
You're not really
and
ready.
I was plunged into sales to be a sales executive where I'll be carrying. Meanwhile, my colleagues wanted to be in the air conditioning office, and I was carrying tuna, cartons, and that's what I was doing. It gave me a different exposure. It gave me an understanding of a certain field, which will be relevant in my future life. I never saw it as a demeaning thing. So it was a fantastic opportunity.
I mean, you had baked in the past.
I had baked in the past. So I couldn't connect.
This was even like
people were
an upper
thinking,
skill. Yeah.
So when people got similar jobs like mine, they wouldn't take it. They rather want to be be at MTN, and they end up in the call center. The progress, they can figure it out themselves. It doesn't work. So your attitude about the job you get is very critical. Very, very critical. You should understand why you are going to work when you start. You are actually out there to build a skill. So you find, what skills am I going to get here that's going to be very constructive for the meaningful life I want to have in future.
For the next level.
Yeah. And it's a marathon. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It is a marathon. So I do not go chasing money. I'd rather choose an opportunity to be better developed. So if you give me a call center job and you will pay me twice as much as I would have been paid in as a salesman, I'll take a salesman's job. Because I build selling skills. The call center job is good. It has some skills, some customer service skills you'd get. But I don't find that so difficult to build and sustainable in the kind of life I will be looking for.
Exactly. It won't add the value you want.
You want. So you be careful what you are looking for. The problem they use right now, they think of money too much. Forget about that iPhone. It means nothing. This phone here, iPhone is one of the most useless phones. I don't even know what the hype is. People want to have a certain kind of life and they want it so quick. It doesn't work. When you start, you are looking for opportunities to build a skill. I have somebody in my office right now who walks up to me and tells me, man, I'm not leaving your office. I'm working. I don't need you to pay me. I can't be home. I need to do something meaningful for myself. And that impresses me. I'm okay. I can afford going back and forth, but I waste away. But if I work for you and work with you, I build a skill. I say, okay, this is different. But the guys today are looking here for money. I'll be honest with you, if I can cover my transportation back and forth after school, and I can actually pick a skill from working with you or anyone, I'll do it.
You do it.
Than sit at home.
That's because you have a target.
Because I know where I'm going. And where I'm going is not now. So you are sitting at home waiting for a job that should pay you 5,000 before you move. So are you eating? You are eating. So what are you doing next? Instagram. You're a fool. I'm sorry, you're a fool. What are you adding to yourself? Instagram? Or are you building the skill of being an influencer? If that's it, okay.
Okay, yeah.
But other than that, what do you think you're doing? Walk across that shop and tell the person you even work for them for free. And make meaning for your life. Than sit at home. Because in these your early stages, all you are looking for are skills for the future. That future will pay for your yesterday. So don't worry. Build the skill. And that's what I did.
And it worked.
It worked. I moved on and I learned fast. I had to put in hours, build the right network, relationships to learn. So people could teach me. I wasn't interested in just going to work, close and go. I wanted to go, build a network, understand certain things, and know how I can improve and be of more value in my environment. And sooner than later, people could see the change and impact. Then I get a promotion in 3 months. Then I get another one. Then I run away from the company because I think that I was becoming too heated.
Yes.
I became too seen. I was quite a bit uncomfortable.
So now you couldn't see the learning value in there no more.
It wasn't the learning value. I thought the environment now was going to be a bit hostile. My pace of growth was
too fast, eh?
was getting a bit too fast, and I was becoming a bit at the center of too many things, you know. But I really thank God for my employer, Mr. Chumesi, soon to be Dr. Chumesi, for adopting me right and shaping me. Then I went to another job. Charles Addo, Dr. William Mold, fantastic souls. They really built the man I am today, largely on the workspace with Dr. Eka, Sunday Eka of blessed memory. Great people. But the orientation was different.
Yes.
Then I get into my next job, and that's it. Right? When I'm in the space, I want to understand the space. I want to see how I can help the organization move from A to B. I want to come up with new ideas.
Yes.
I want to get more efficient about how things are done. I want to be efficient about what I do, but I spend time to understand my space. And I invest in it. I'll be in the office at 5:30. I'm home 9:30, 10. I had problems for me though when I got married, but we were just somewhere in the road. I put in the hours because I needed to know, not for just knowledge sake, which is also not a bad idea. I didn't just know things because some they never know when you need them, but to be able to impact my space. So my first comment went, then I'll ask a few questions. I was very curious. And then maybe I don't get an answer. I say, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for proper data analytics.
Exactly.
So let me start analyzing data. I didn't do. So you see, all of you who are in school, when you have to do research methods and you have to do, please spend the time and learn them. They can be useful.
Do it in real time.
Do it meaningfully. When you have the chance to write a long essay, stop running away from your long essay and say, I want to write.
I told people actually pay people to write it.
You're a fool. I'm sorry, but you are.
And some will skip it.
You're an idiot. Because it's going to come back to haunt you. In school, you are building skills to be impactful. I spent my time writing a long essay so that in the process, my writing skills will improve. So when push comes to shove today for me to write, it's not a problem. So I can edit Ghana's petroleum report today because I started learning how to write by pushing myself way back. Ghanaians want an easy way out too much. It's better the youth. Stop. Life is not so easy. Some people get lucky and find it easy, but by and large, that's not the rule of thumb. So put in the effort. Take the hard way. The hard road is there.
It doesn't kill.
It ends up being the smart way. So my writing skills leaving school was way ahead of the writing skills of most of my colleagues. Now I enter a job and I realize that my writing skills are yesterday. And I have to humble myself and learn the language. Then I spend time waiting to have less red marks from my boss. Because I have to understand how corporate lingo will work. You spend the time. But you see the guys today, they're in a hurry. Enter the office. They have to go. Yeah, because I have to get the boys here. Then you have some social something. You have to. Guys, it doesn't work. We need the youth to have a different orientation. Because you are competing today not with me, not with your colleagues. You are actually competing with children from Singapore, people in South Korea. Because those people will take your jobs tomorrow if you don't get more competitive and rather take their jobs. I'm telling you. Because if you are going to start having meetings by wearing one small device and all of a sudden you start feeling like you are in the same room with people and you have a conversation, very soon the job you are doing in your office, somebody will come and do for you. I bet I need 2-6 and lost.
and now, I mean, AI is even taking over certain jobs as well. You know, so you either position yourself. I know a lot of jobs that are being redefined now. Certain positions are being redefined not by nature, but because of the skill it takes to actually have it now. And so you either upgrade yourself and grow as an individual, so you'll be able to fit in whatever environment you find yourself in. So you'll be able to adapt to the skills that you find. If you can't learn, there are certain places you can't survive. I mean, I think all places. You can be the CEO, but if you're not ready to learn, there's certain things. You mentioned that you were very good. Your writing skills were impeccable, but you got to a point where you realized, Charlie, and then you had to, put things on. I'm interested in asking for the level of innovation you set out to inject into the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. But under that, I would want to, because of learning, what were some of the vital life lessons you learned? The vital lessons you learned during your tenure of office as, CEO for the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors. I mean, the innovation and then the things you learned, the life lessons you learned there.
Well, maybe to a consideration of almost one and saying, the pursuit of value and not effort. The chamber is set for a purpose. You have to sustain and drive and deliver that value to impact it. You don't occupy just space. When we started the chamber, practically we had no office. We started it off my booth. I mean, the members were there. They were great companies. But these were people who were used to working on their own. So the idea of working collectively was still quite alien and a bit distant. Nobody was investing in it. I worked for the chamber for practically 5 months for free.
Wow.
5 months, then for free.
5 months.
Yeah. Started in April, May, June, July. I think sometime in August. Then the conversation was, let's just give this guy some little allowance, not a salary.
Because he saw potential in it now. It was all making sense.
Yeah. So they had a chamber, but they were looking for a former minister, to come and be a CEO. And I was just given an acting role because I was a bit in the industry. I was a director of one of the companies. And they were looking for a PR Krang, a number of very senior former ministers. And I understood the industry. I saw the opportunity. The impact I delivered in 3 months made the people start rethinking, do we really need to get that kind of person? Then I suggested, okay, maybe this guy should be there for a while we look for somebody who now fits Senyo's character, but maybe comes with a bigger stature. And every time you give me a yard, I take you even further.
Yeah.
So I think it ended one day and my temporary thing had been moved too much, and I wrote to them. The last one was supposed to be, I think, in 2013 of December. And I wrote to them, I said, oh, I have to move on because I have to be focused on my own stuff. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. So, chaos. Everybody started jumping and they called me, no. Emergency committee set up. No. Hurry up and give this guy a formal package. We have to pay. Hey.
Because we were working, everything was going well, and then...
No. You're supposed to get your CEO.
So you were like...
And I was just acting.
But you overacted.
That's the problem. That was the problem. Now they couldn't find the person to match my way of delivery. That tells you something. One, when the opportunity presents itself, no matter how it is, be focused on delivering the value. It's the value people invest in. Nobody's investing in your degree. Everybody's investing in the value.
Yes.
You deliver. So the delivery I had really put on ground in the office reshaped their thinking about me and reshaped even their thinking about what the chamber should be. You understand?
Yes.
Because they had a certain perception. And my job was not to change their perception, to see exactly what their need is and deliver it. Then they start even thinking about how this thing should work. So Senyo now becomes the model.
Yes, exactly.
But because an opportunity came, but before then, I had built all kinds of skills that positioned me to know how to relate to people. Right from selling in Okanshi to Kaswa, Madina Market, Malata, you know how to engage people. So it's already being seen as an industry guy, somebody who is able to bring people together. That's it. Then the work itself, I knew I had to invest in technical skills. So I spent the time.
And did that.
I did that. What they'll pay people thousands of dollars to do, I'll do it myself. And they see it comes quick, fast. I need to spend hours. What I don't know, I will ask. The people I need support from, I will see. Because I know where I was going. I invested relations, I invested time, learning, and also delivering the value that was needed. And as transformation was being seen, people realized they couldn't let me go.
Yeah.
And they gave me a permanent offer. And that was me. And I didn't stop. Because what's really keeping you on the job is not yesterday. It's the fact that every day you are going to continue on delivering the thing. So you have to keep investing in things, in skills, in capacity, in understanding, putting the hours to come up with the solutions. People need solutions. People are not just waiting to hear their problems. So you deliver both. one, let you even know you have a problem, because some people don't realize when you run the team that there's a problem. Guys, you have a problem. But this also may be the way to do it.
An opportunity for you to.
And people wake up, all of a sudden, wow, there's going to be a banking crisis on the back of this. We didn't realize that. Really? No, I get bank MDs together, all of a sudden, I grab everybody's attention. You need to know how to set an agenda. You need to set an agenda as in really make an issue a policy matter or an industry matter. Advocating and bringing attention. That's agenda setting is actually a technical term in policy. That's what I was using, but I think you're right. It makes it easier for everybody when you say making it attention worthy.
Yes.
You need to know how to do these things. And those skills were relevant. You needed to also have the same relation. And you also needed to know how to bash people and at the same time keep them as your friends. So a lot of skills that you learn and you build along, but it's all tangent on that focus of sustaining value. Sustaining value for who your principals or your customers are.
Wow. I think a lot has been said today. It's just right we let Mr. Senyo Hosi go.
Thank you.
After this question, please, Cleve and Tove.
Yes.
Just one question about it. Motivation for setting up the brand and the sector or industry you actively influence. Yes. Tell us about it. Let's sell it a bit. Let's let people understand what's going on with the brand, what it is about.
Cleve and Tove is actually my group company. So it's our investment management vehicle. So it owns a bit of our businesses, and one of our businesses is Tessa Capital. It's a fund management company with over 1 billion cedis in assets under management. Billion cedis, please, it's not my money. So, I'm not rich like that.
Assets.
Yes, assets under management.
Before somebody calls you after the call that he wants $1 million, just $1 million.
It includes pension funds. So that's it. It's HQ'd in at the Centurion building, Snit, in airport. Led by Eugenia Bashir, fantastic lady, very interested in youth and then investments by them, helping them manage their own personal goals as far as financial goals are concerned. So it's also quite digital friendly these days. I'd encourage anyone, if you want, you could download the Tessa Capital app.
Okay.
Tessa Capital app, and then have a feel at what Tessa may have for you. Then we also have AGL Limited, which is an agribusiness. We produce rice, Gogo Rice. It's our brand. You get it at the Shell and Allied oil shops. You find them there. If you're in Medina, you find it at CAS. You also Vecris also has a number of Dansuma, a number of shops carry our rice. We have a little challenge this is because of our factory whirlwind disaster, but we are going to be up and running again. We still have a few stocks on the market, so that's there. We produce rice. That's an agri-business. Okay. Then we also have largely the rest of our businesses focus on the technology space. We have started an insurance brokerage company, but it's going to be more tech-based.
Okay.
We should be quite active sometime in May. We are operational, but not fully active on the original goal because we're still developing our software. We also have RAFTech that works on financial innovation. Again, in the digital space, we are coming up with quite some unique ones, unique solutions. We also have H-Fields that provides services to the petroleum sector, largely also tech-based.
Tech-based, yeah.
So my investments these days have been largely in the technology space, going forward. Not so consumerized like the rice and the fund management business, but soon you'll feel it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm very inspired. I wouldn't even lie about that. I'm inspired by the fact that there are people who see opportunity in everything. I'm not the type that would really complain about things. I'd rather find a solution, or at least try to find a solution to something I don't like. I believe if we're able to solve the matters around things we don't like here in our space, we'll be able to own it Because it's ours. You mentioned something I really loved. It's one of the things I picked from the interview. Ghana is one, and we have only one Ghana. If you have one Ghana, it means that's the only you have. Whatever happens, you fall back to this Ghana. Exactly. And so today, unlike the usual ones, where my guests will give the final... Ghana, and yet in the buy. Inti, yes, say.
Rollins, the brother Cassie,
Ghana, yeah. Yes, say, yes, any Yibunebe, Yankanasem, and I'm told Senyo likes music, and so before he goes, I'll just let him decide the next set of songs we play. Would be his favorite songs. You just have to, listen and then know. I'm sure your workers and your colleagues listening might be keen on this. They will be waiting to hear the kind of songs.
Every today party, the song there's not hard.
Which
Charlie, who's my guy?
Wait, by who?
Spyro,
okay.
Just play Who's My Guy for me. Other than that, I have another song for you. I have a number of songs. I like Bandana. I like Bandana
by Asake and
them never see me coming. Saito no did he see coming?
Senyo from the Saito taking over. Track number 3.
Number 3. That one will go gospel line.
Okay.
My Worship.
Okay.
Then another one, Out of the Grave. Let me look for that one.
That would be number 4, and then we do number 5.
Charlie, you won't finish me for your pal. Then My Worship is My Worship by Phil Thompson.
Okay, yes. So that would be number 3, and number 4.
And then, okay, so I've given you Bandana. Then the other one is Glorious Day.
Glorious Day. That's also a gospel track.
It's a gospel. Right? It's a gospel track.
Thanks to God, we're able to play gospel songs now. So we're good.
Why? First you want
no, I mean,
I don't know. I don't wish you be Biana.
No. You see, na yebo, but near born Sunday and papa. See to me the frame. Yeah, my chance to say I'm blending opportunity no.
So crack now you are suffer. You are suffer, Reverend. As uncle you
didn't come backstage. Guys, I trust you also enjoyed this interview. Mr. Senyo Hosi, Chairman and CEO of Cleveland Toll, just told us the services they provide. Fully active in May. They are going digital with all the things they do. Thank you so much, boss, for joining us today. Of course, a big thank you to your team for allowing us to make this happen as well. And I don't know if it's allowed. I want to request another sit down sometime soon when you have time. Let's do part 2. Maybe something different. Talk about the nationalism and dive deeper into finding solutions for things that exist.
That one I did for you.
My mind did too. And a big thank you to our sponsors, Cowbank, Forward Together, MTN Everywhere You Go, and then Chocomal by Casablanca. My name is Rev Eskin. This is the Mid-Morning Radio Show. We have about 30 more minutes to go. It's all music now. Keep it locked right here, okay?